Good evening, grade 11 students. Thank you for being here at the CAT class this evening. Yeah, thank you very much for your commitment to this class. I know that it's late in the evening, and I hope that you're getting a lot of the content in. We are currently busy with term 3's work, so we've finished all of term 2's work, and we have started with term 3's work. We have been looking this week at HTML. If you would like to catch up on any of the lessons that you have missed, please go to the YouTube channel. You can access all of the videos that we have been displaying on this platform over here. So you can visit some Access or some HTML as well as some Excel, and just catch up on any of the work that you may have missed. If you would like any resources or activities, please send me an email at aflint@newtonhouse.co.za, and I will gladly send you some activities to do, either based on this work over here that we're doing or on other work that you're doing. If you'd also like me to mark the work, I'm also happy to do that. So just to kind of check that you are on the right track. We are going to be starting with our lesson now. If you have any questions during the lesson, please feel free to post the question into the chat, or if you'd like me to explain something again or go a little bit slower, please also post that into the chat. Okay, as mentioned before, we are looking at HTML. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. And what I'll do is I'll just go over a brief rundown of what we did yesterday so that you can get a bit of a refresher. I know that this concept might be new to some of the students, so I don't want to rush you guys and speed through the entire lesson. I'd like to just take it slow, make sure that we do understand all the concepts and why we do certain things and why we use certain methods. So we're looking at HTML. We're going to look at an overview of yesterday's lesson, and then a lot of today's lesson was actually also covered in yesterday's lesson. So we had a look at the structure of HTML. And if we are finished with today's lesson, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with tomorrow's lesson as well, which deals with all the various tags that are used in HTML. Okay, so like I said, just a recap of what we did yesterday. We had a look at the basics of HTML. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language, and this is a programming language that allows us to create a website. Like I said, it's a markup language used for creating websites. It is used to create electronic documents called pages or web pages, and these web pages are displayed on the World Wide Web using a web browser such as Google Chrome or Internet Explorer. How does HTML work? HTML consists of a series of short codes. If you remember from yesterday, we were typing in short codes, and those codes represented certain aspects of the web page. And we were able to then insert other codes which kind of changed the way that the website looked. So the HTML file that we will be working with is a text file, and we are the authors, we are the creators of the site, and we use tags in order to create various aspects on this file. Now, these tags are obviously very, very important, because if we use the wrong or incorrect tags, or if our tags are not typed in correctly, the web page is not going to function as we hoped. The text is then saved as an HTML file. That's what we did yesterday, and then viewed through a browser like Internet Explorer, like I said. And just an example of what an HTML file looks like. This is an example where we have the various tags, HTML opening tag and an HTML closing tag. Just a reminder of the difference between the two tags. The opening tag will not have the // the closing tag will always have the / just in front of the name of the tag. It's very important that you put that opening tag as well as the closing tag in. Like I said, if you don't do that, then the website will not function as it's supposed to. So what we're going to do today, today's lesson is specifically going to focus on how to create a well-structured HTML file. And as I mentioned previously, we had a look at some of the basics of this yesterday. However, I'm just going to kind of recap certain sections and just kind of go over some of these points again, just to reinforce the learning. And then what we'll do after that is we'll look at the basic markup tags used in an HTML file, and we'll just kind of explain what they do. And then after that, we will look at a practical example where we are actually creating a web page. So the structure of an HTML file, like I explained to some of my students, is almost like creating the perfect burger. If you guys like burgers, very important that everything goes inside the burger buns. Now, unless you're creating some kind of super burger with like different layers and a whole lot of different buns, that doesn't really apply. But generally, when you are creating a burger, the top bun goes right at obviously at the top of the burger, and there's a bottom bun that goes at the bottom, and then inside you get obviously the contents of the burger, like the patty, the salad, the cheese, gherkins, but please don't put gherkins on burgers because that's disgusting, onions, tomato sauce, and whatever you want. And the structure of an HTML document or an HTML file is very similar to this. If we are creating an HTML file, we need to ensure that everything goes within the HTML tags. We mentioned this yesterday, but if anything, for example, like the head and the title and the body is placed outside of the HTML file, it's not really going to work. And the same if you put, like, I don't know, the cheese or the salad or the burger outside of the bun, it doesn't really make sense and it's not really considered a burger. So the structure of an HTML file, first of all, looking at the HTML tag. HTML tag that we get, a reminder that these would be considered the buns of our burger, and we get an HTML opening tag, which looks like this one at the top over here, an opening tag. And what we need to type after that is that / over here. So it's a arrow brackets pointing to the left, a / the word HTML, all in lowercase, and then a arrow bracket facing the right, being our closing tag. And just an explanation of what this HTML tag does. All the elements and all the other tags are going to be found within this tag. The opening tag represents the beginning of your HTML file, and the closing tag represents the end of your HTML file. No tags or elements should be placed outside of these two tags. What we get after that is generally what's known as the head tag. And as mentioned before, the head tag has got an opening tag as well as a closing tag. The closing tag, a reminder that that / must always be placed over there. And what the head tag does is it gives instructions to the browser. And generally the title tag appears within this tag over here. The next tag that we are looking at is the title tag. And the title tag, again, has an opening tag and also a closing tag. The title tag will always contain the title of your web page. And we had a look at this a little bit yesterday, where we were able to change the title of the web page and the title appears in a new tab, or the tab of your web page. And we'll have a look at an example of that just now. What we then get is the body tag. We get an opening body tag as well as a closing body tag. A reminder about the arrow brackets that need to go around the body, as well as that / that needs to come just before the body tag when you're closing the tag. And what the body tag does is it contains all the text, images, videos, paragraphs, anything that you would like to showcase in your website goes inside the body tag. And then just an example of the structure of what an HTML file looks like. HTML opening tag right at the top, and then a closing HTML tag right at the bottom. What I suggest to my students, and we'll go over this in the practical example, is that you type out each tag right after each other and then place everything within that, instead of typing HTML, then head, then title again, then closing title, then opening body, then closing HTML. So instead of doing it in that order, I recommend that you do the opening and the closing tags together. So do the opening HTML tag and the closing HTML tag together. Once you have done that, then you place the opening head tag and the closing head tag. Once you've done that, then you move on to the title tag and then the body tag. So making sure that we start and finish each tag before starting a new tag. And then the website the program that we use in HTML is Notepad++. Notepad++ is a great way to design your own websites. Okay, so going to Notepad++, and the file that we were creating yesterday looked like this. So we started a website over here, and we were able to then create this website with all the various tags, and we added a couple of extra ones there, like the heading, which we'll get into at a later stage. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to create a new tag, and I'm possibly going to ask you to just kind of assist me over here. What's the first? You can post it into the chat. What is the first tag that I will place in this document over here, just to kind of start us off? You guys can type it in over there into the chat. What would the first tag look like that I'll put into a new document? If you know the answer, you can post it into the chat. Otherwise, if you don't really know the answer, I'll give you a few minutes to answer, and then I will demonstrate how to do it. So the first tag that goes into an HTML document, what should it look like? Okay, here we go. So I'm going to demonstrate over here. Our first tag in an HTML document is always going to be the opening HTML. So it looks like this over here. And then a closing HTML tag. And like I mentioned over here, this represents kind of the buns of our burger, where we place everything inside over here, like we place the patty, the cheese, the salad within these two tags over here. So this is my opening HTML tag, and this over here is my closing HTML tag. You will notice over here that the HTML tag is still just in plain black text, and once I have saved this file, only then will my tags start highlighting and appearing to be joined. Okay, so What I'm going to do over here, you'll notice that it is red, that the save button is red. This represents the fact that I have not yet saved the document. So what I need to do is I need to click save, because it's the first time that I'm saving this. And I'll save this as Africa Teen Geeks and possibly make it the, what's today's date? The 2nd, the 2nd of June, 2020, HTML. So I'm giving it a name that kind of represents what's going to be found in over here. And I'm going to say .html because I need to make sure that it is saved as an HTML file, and then save it as all types, type of document, and I'll save it onto my desktop just for now. So now the document has been saved, and immediately you can see over here that my HTML opening tag and my HTML closing tag have now been highlighted. This means that I have created the correct tag. If I have misspelt, for example, the HTML closing tag, you'll notice that the tags no longer are highlighted. This is obviously representing an error. And again, if you notice up over here, the document is red, which means that a change has been made, and it is yet to be saved. So I'll change that over there. I'll save it, and it appears over there. Anyone know what comes after my HTML tag? What's the next tag that comes after my HTML tag? If you do know, you can post it into the chat. What's the next? Even if you just type the word, what's the next tag that appears in my HTML file? Okay, here we go. The next tag that appears within my HTML document is a head tag. Okay, and this basically gives instructions. Very nice, Bule. That gives instructions to the web browser. Okay, and I need a opening head tag as well as a closing head tag. Excellent. Okay, and then again, you'll notice that my tags, my opening head tag and my closing head tag, are highlighted. Okay, what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to give it a bit of space so that I can clearly see exactly what's going on in terms of my tags. You don't have to do this, but sometimes it's recommended just so that you can kind of easily see what's going on within your file. Again, you'll notice that the tag is red, that the little save button is red. This represents the fact that I have not saved the work yet. So I've made edits, but I haven't saved it. So I'm just going to save it, and it turns blue. My HTML file is now saved. Okay, what comes inside the head tag? Can you guys tell me what comes inside the head tag? Even if you just type out into the chat, what comes inside the head tag? Excellent, very nice. The title tag. Okay, and it's very important for us to understand what each one of these tags represents. Okay, the HTML tag represents the entire file, the entire HTML file, and every single tag, all of our all of our videos, all of our images, all of our paragraphs are going to go inside this HTML tag. The head tag gives instructions to the web browser, and the next tag that I'm going to use is my title tag. Like I said, you don't necessarily have to space it out like this, but you can if you want. I just want to mention something over here. You'll notice that I have typed title without the closing arrow brackets, and immediately it affects my head closing tag over here because these two don't really match up. So I've made a mistake over there and I need to close it up. The great thing about Notepad++ is that it tells you when you've made a mistake and it highlights where the mistake is. So the title tag over there, let's say I'm going to call this website Africa Teen Geeks. And can anyone tell me what is missing from this HTML file so far? There's one thing that is missing from this file that I've created over here. Okay, the one thing that is missing is my closing title tag. Okay, I need to have an opening title tag and then a closing title. Very nice, Kenan. Okay, a closing title tag. Brilliant. Okay, so it's here, / title, and there we go. So I've got HTML file over there. I've got the head tag and the closing head tag, which gives instructions to the web browser. I've got the title tag, the opening title tag, and the closing title tag, which then gives the title of the website. And then, very nice, the next one that comes in is my body tag. Very nice. So body and opening body tag, as well as a closing body tag, which I have not created properly there. Okay, again, you'll notice over here, I left out the / over there, and immediately you can see that there's something wrong over there because my body tags are not kind of joined by the same color. HTML, if I click on one of the HTML files, both of them are highlighted. This means that there is an opening tag and there is a closing tag. If I click on my opening head tag, you'll notice that both tags are highlighted. This means that I've got the opening as well as the closing. If I click on my title tag, both the opening tag and the closing tag are highlighted. This means that they are correct. I'm going to click on my body tag and nothing happens. This means that I have made a mistake, and I can see over here that I have not put in the / and then they're both highlighted. Okay, and in my body tag, I can put the contents of my file or my web page, and like we do in a burger, we put in the patty, we put in the cheese, we put in the salad, tomatoes, whatever you like to put on the burger. Same thing with your website. Whatever you want to put into the website goes within the body. If you want to create headings, if you want to create images, videos, we will put it in over there. Yeah. So this is the basic structure of what a web page will look like. And what I'm going to do over here is, again, I'm going to see that it has not been saved. So I will save it. And let's open up our web page over here. It should be on my desktop. And you'll notice that it has been saved over here. I've got two shortcuts over here. The first one, Africa Teen Geeks HTML. That's the first one that I created yesterday. And this is the second one, which I created today. And you'll notice that they've got the web browser icon over there, which means that it will be opened up in Google Chrome. If Google Chrome is not your web browser, your default web browser that you use, then it might be Internet Explorer that appears over here. It just depends what your web browser is. So I'm going to open this up, and I'm just going to see how it opens up. And over there, you'll see that my title appears in the top left-hand corner. This is the tab, and this is the file that I've created over here. Okay. Like I mentioned to the students yesterday, this is not going to go live to everyone. So you won't actually be able to if you go tell somebody to go view your website, they won't actually be able to find this on the internet. You first need to send that file to an e-host, and you basically pay the e-host. One host, I think, is eHost South Africa. They host specific websites, so you'll pay them like a monthly fee, and they'll upload your HTML file onto the web, and they'll give you a specific domain name like www.africateamgeeks.co.za. So they will host your HTML file, and then you will be able to view it and tell other people to view it as well. Okay, so that was basically the lesson for today. I know that we kind of got through it quickly, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go on to tomorrow's lesson. I figured we might finish a little bit early because yesterday we covered quite a lot of ground. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go into some of the work that's supposed to be covered in tomorrow's lesson, and I'm going to start with that. Okay, and like I said, some of these things we already know. However, some of them are going to be new. And the things that we're going to look at now is basically the tags that you will use in an HTML file. So we look at a couple of tags and what kind of tag it is, and then the purpose of those tags as well. So the first tag that we introduced to you was the HTML tag. And this is known as a structural HTML tag. The reason why it's a structural HTML tag, because as you can imagine, it provides the structure for your entire HTML file. So like we said earlier, it's got an opening tag as well as a closing tag. And then all the elements and all the other tags are found within this tag. And it shows the beginning of the opening tag represents the beginning of the HTML file, and the closing tag represents the closing of or the end of your HTML file. The other structural HTML tag that we get is your head tag, with an opening head tag as well as a closing head tag. And this gives instructions to the browser, and the title tag appears within this tag. We've already had a look at that one. The next one is the title tag. It's also a structural HTML tag, and the title tag has an opening tag as well as a closing tag, and it contains the title of your web page. And then the last structural tag, sorry, not the last structural tag. Yeah, there's quite a few actually. The other structural tag that we've had a look at is the body tag, and that obviously contains all the text, images, videos, paragraphs, anything that you would like to showcase in your websites. The next structural tag we get is a paragraph tag. Now, one thing you'll notice about all the tags is all of them are in lowercase. All the ones we've done so far is in lowercase. So please make sure that when you are working with Notepad++, that you use a lowercase for your tags. Now we've got a paragraph tag over here. The paragraph tag is represented by a P being the opening tag and a /P being the closing tag. This marks the start and the end of a paragraph, and it is found within the body tag. And then a space is created automatically above and below the content used. This is a no-end tag. So the difference between this tag over here and the rest of the tags is that every single one of those tags had a opening tag as well as a closing tag. The break line, or the line break tag, is one of the only ones that does not have a opening or a closing tag. It's just a tag like this. It adds a line break, and it encloses no text. So it basically just creates a space within your web page. Okay, so those are all the structural tags that we had a look at, being the HTML, the head, title, body, paragraph, and line break tags. Those are all the structural, as well as body. I don't know if I said body. Those are all the HTML structural tags, basically creating a structure for your website. One of the next set of tags that we get is our formatting tags, and these are our formatting HTML tags, our heading tags. So we get H1 up to H6. Now we get a opening H1 tag as well as a closing H1 tag, and a opening H6 and a opening closing H6 tag. This is the biggest kind of heading that we get in terms of text size. So the text size in the heading 1 is going to be really, really big, and the text size in H6 is going to be a lot smaller. Now, you may be thinking, do we get other ones as well? Yes, we do. We do get H2, H3, H4, H5, up to H6. So if you want to create like a main heading, you'd probably use H1, and then a subheading, you'd probably use H2, and then a subheading after that would be H3, and it goes all the way down up until H6. And like I said, these ones are used to create headings. The next kind of formatting tags that we get is B, U, and I. The B standing for bold, that makes the text bold, and the U makes the text underlined. I makes the text italic, and this can be all done within a paragraph or within the body of your websites. So this is very similar to kind of like working with Microsoft Word, where you make text bold. However, in your Notepad++ and in Notepad, you are unable to kind of make the text bold within the program. You have to format it using tags in order to make it bold. And then the next formatting tag we get is our text formatting tags. And that is an example, HR. And HR stands for horizontal line. It basically like rules off your website. And it's also a no end tag. The other one was BR. And these are the one of the only ones without a opening and a closing tag. And then the last one, in case you want to just kind of make a note on your website, you are able to create a comment tag. The comment tag is created like this, with a arrow bracket to the left, exclamation mark, and then 2 dashes, and then a space, and then you are able to type within that, and then as well as a closing tag. The comment tag basically is a note to yourself, maybe a little explanation about why a tag is doing what it does, and you will not see this appear in your website. So if you create a comment tag and you want other people to edit your website, you might use that comment tag, and yeah, you won't actually see it in your final product. Okay, so let's just go through what this would look like in practical terms. We had a look at our HTML. This is known as a structural tag. The head also being a structural tag, title being a structural tag, and then a body being a structural tag. Okay, what we are going to do now is we're going to create a couple of headings within our body. So what is the biggest heading? You guys can post it into the chat if you know what it is. What is the biggest kind of heading that we get? What is the biggest heading tag that we get? Can you guys post it into the chat if you know what it is? Okay, our biggest heading tag would be H1. And a reminder that we need to have opening H1 as well as a closing H1 tag. Okay, and we are going to call that, let's say, Africa Team Geeks. And we have now created a heading over there being H1, and that's the biggest kind of heading that we get. What I'll do over here is I'll save it just to make sure that it is saved. And what I can just do above that, that's going to be my main heading. And what I want to do now is I want to create, let's say, a paragraph within my body. The paragraph tag is used like this with that P. And a /P to kind of close off our paragraph over here. And what I can just do there is I can type out one paragraph. This is a website that, let's say, web page. This is a web page that we are creating. So that's going to be my first paragraph over there. And what I can do now is I can type in another paragraph just because I don't want them to be next to each other. Today is the second lesson based on HTML, and I'll close it off with a closing paragraph tag. So right now what I've got is an HTML opening tag, HTML closing tag, and within my tag I've got all my content. So I've got the head representing the instructions to the web browser, the title of my web page, the body, which is going to contain my heading, the paragraph, and I've got two paragraphs within my website. I've also got a closing body tag over there and that. So I'm going to save it, and I'm going to go back to my web browser. And like I said to the students, instead of, you know, closing your web browser every single time and then opening it up again, all you really need to do is click the refresh button or reload button over here, and your websites will appear. So I've got Africa Teen Geeks. I created my heading. This was my first paragraph, and this is my second paragraph over here. Okay. What I'm going to do, just to kind of represent the different headings that we get, let's just copy this one over here. So we'll copy this heading and we'll place it just underneath it, but we'll change it to H2. You'll notice when you start typing in Notepad++ that it gives you the headings that you can use. And let's paste it again, and we'll make it H3. This kind of, that nice thing about Notepad++ is it gives you the words that you need to kind of use instead of us making typing errors. And let's just see how that appears over here. If I save it and then go back to my web browser and refresh my page, you'll notice that my headings start big with H1. This would be H2, this will be H3, and this will be H4. So my headings kind of got bigger, got smaller as I went with the headings. Okay, just after my paragraph, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a word over here. Let's say Africa Teen, even gives me Africa Teen Geeks. And what I want to do to this word is I'd like to make it bold. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go B over here as my opening tag, and then a closing tag. Well, let's just type it out first and just see what happens. So I'm just going to type in Africa Teen Geeks over here. I'm going to save it. I'm going to then refresh it, and you'll notice that Africa Teen Geeks appears here on my website. If I make it bold, I'll put an opening bold tag over here and a closing bold tag over there, and then save my document. It's very important to save it after you make an edit, otherwise it won't change. And I'll go back over here and refresh it. You'll notice that it changes to bold. Okay, let's copy this one over here. This entire tag as well as the sentence that I've used. Control C, Control V. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to delete this tag actually. And I'm going to go back to my website. You notice that I've typed it in over here. I've typed in the word. So there should be Africa Teen Geeks as well as Africa Teen Geeks right underneath each other in my website. But you'll notice that nothing's changed. Even if I refresh the page, nothing's happened. And the reason why that is happening is because I have not saved. If I save and then go back and then refresh, Africa Teen Geeks will appear right next to each other. And the reason for that is because I have not placed it in a tag. So let's place it in a tag. Let's say Italics, closing opening Italics tag, closing Italics tag, save it, go back to my web browser, refresh, and it appears over there. The reason why it appears next to each other is because I have not put them in paragraphs. I would have to put this one in a paragraph as well. So let's say P. Over here, opening tag P and closing tag P. And over here, closing tag P. And then save it. And then refresh. And then they appear underneath each other. So what I've done there is I've just placed paragraphs next to these tags. You'll notice that I can put tags next to each other. And that's also kind of important. As you go, you'll sort of realize that there's some tags that work, but there's some tags that don't work kind of next to each other. Okay, and then the last one that I'll do is I'll just create another one over here, Control C, Africa Teen Geeks, and I'll place a U over there and an underline U over there. And then I'll save it, and then I'll refresh it, and it will be underlined. Okay, so this is just basically a way of formatting your text. And the last one that we could have was comments. Just do a quick comments. And you'll notice that everything starts appearing in green. The green represent comments, and I'm just going to say this is a comment, and then closing it like that with an arrow, and now everything underneath that is back in blue. The comment is just basically something that you can place over there. You can place it anywhere in the documents, and it won't appear on your website. I'm going to save it, refresh, and you'll notice that it still doesn't appear on my websites. Okay. That is today's lesson, and we actually covered tomorrow's lesson as well, so I'm just going to have to prepare one more lesson. What we will do tomorrow is we will look at how to create your own web page, and we will specifically look at some of the other tags that we've been working with, and yeah, creating your own websites. If you'd like to contact me, my email address is aflint@newtonhouse.co.za. You can send me any emails regarding work that you don't understand or topics you'd like to cover. Thanks very much for being here, and enjoy the rest of your evening.